Steve Morton. It's a bit of an act to follow, Steve, but I know that the way that you've supported us through this 12 months because of your specific experience and knowledge of the pandemic, you're going to be a great chair, and we're all looking forward to working with you. I echo the thanks that have been passed already to Alan. Looking after our treasure, our accounts, is no easy job. I've seen the frustration that it causes when some of us do not provide the information at the right time and in the right quality. And again, Alan, many thanks for that. I do appreciate it. And finally, Jim. Where would I be without you? Your major contribution to keeping us on the straight and narrow, minding our compliance with the POR, charities, LCC and county, and all of our agreements, we wouldn't be able to do the job without you. But Jim, it's every single day I get at least a phone call, a message or a text, so he's keeping me on the straight and narrow. So I know how much effort he's putting into it. He's got to keep me under control, but he does a great job. What's my place? Right, okay. Oh yes, whilst we're talking about Alan, Alan keeps telling me this is the last year he's doing this job. I think I probably believe him this year. So the other job we're looking for is a deputy to come in and understudy Alan, so that he knows how to do the job when Alan does finally step down. We'll talk about that again next year. Whilst I'm on the subject, I'm moving on.
When you've sown the seeds, just go.
And I hope you'll won't mind, while I'm on the subject of thanks, I can't go past this point without a brief thank you to Lisa and George. This job means that I'm pretty much on call 24/7, and with them in their multiple roles, it's a bit like living in a scout hut in our house. We have many nights when we've all been on different Zooms in different rooms, challenging each other for bandwidth and shouting across the room, "I'm frozen, will you get off?" Seriously, these guys have been my real rock and support through this year. It's been a difficult year for all of us, and it's been great to see you there, always understanding what we're trying to do. So thank you. And now you're both working on the district teams in different jobs, and it's great to see you there as well. So, moving on, what's the future hold for us? Well, I promise you we will have that bounce back camp. When we closed the book on it, in terms of who was interested in coming, we were standing at 850 people who wanted to come to the camp. I'm hoping that when we set that up next term in the spring, we'll get those 850 and maybe even top that magic 1,000 that we were looking for. Wouldn't that be something? We were going to hold a full district review and produce a strategic plan. When we went into the first lockdown, you'll remember we'd got the Anderton Centre booked and we were going to have a weekend away. Well, I'm going to reinstate that. It'll be probably nearer to Christmas, and we'll have a weekend where all of our leadership team can come and join together in helping us form a strategic plan for the next 3 years that will take account of what we've done during this year and through the lockdowns, and look forward to what we can actually achieve in the coming 3 years. And mainly my job is going to be helping you guys rebuild our groups, get them back to where we were pre-lockdown, make sure we've got the leadership teams in place, and above all, recruit more members so we get our numbers back up to where they were before lockdown. And with that, I'll say thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy. You alright there now? Right, I'd like to call upon our erstwhile County Commissioner now to... Well, County Commissioner.
Rob, do you want me to use the mic or not? I've never needed one before.
You'll be fine, it's just...
Good.
Well, afternoon everybody.
Good afternoon.
This is my first district event in 20 months. I've hovered round different meetings and things, but my AGMs so far this year have been online, so it's brilliant to see people in the flesh and see below the shoulders. Now don't read too much into that, because I'm just what I've just said, but it is lovely to be here in Chorley and to celebrate what has been an incredible year. I sat there and listened to Andy go through that list of achievements, and that is remarkable in a normal year. But to achieve that in the year that we've had, and with a fairly new district commissioner who's not experienced life outside of a pandemic, is remarkable. So I do want to thank you, Andy, for your steadfast leadership at a very difficult time. It's really appreciated. We've got a lot to celebrate. I know more so than here in Chorley. Chorley has, throughout this pandemic, continued to lead the way in our county, and I say that sincerely, and I say that honestly, knowing that when I go to another district's AGM, if anyone watches this on Zoom, I'll be in trouble. But the events that you ran online, the communication with adult volunteers, the ability to engage young people at a group level and keep them scouting at a time when they needed it the most is remarkable. And that was reflected in our census this year. Chorley had the smallest decline by a long way of any of our districts. Now across the county our decline was far better than most places in the region and in fact the country, but Chorley absolutely led the way in that. So you should feel an enormous sense of pride sat there today to keep young people and adults engaged in scouting. I just want to reflect on one of our Scout laws, which is a Scout has courage in all difficulties. And my goodness, has that been shown over the past 12 months. We've demonstrated our resilience as an organisation, the ability to adapt and change, and for me to see people on online meetings that I actually thought would never ever happen. And do things in different ways, whether that's delivering appointments, advisory committees online, whether that is executing the business of an executive at a really tricky time, particularly in terms of our finances. We've adapted, we've changed, we've been resilient, and particularly, and most impressively, in the programme that we deliver to young people. At the start of the pandemic, I formed an emergency response group with key members of the county because we recognised that we needed to make decisions fairly quickly. And those early conversations were stark. We were talking about what's the worst case scenario here? How many groups are we expecting could close in this time? What does MASH membership decline look like? What impact does that have on our finances, on Wadika, on our staff? What happens to our adult volunteers who were getting tired in role, who will use this as the point to say, and I'm out? And all of the planning that we did, thankfully, hasn't particularly been needed, because what we underestimated in those early conversations was the strength and the resolve of our adult volunteers, their absolute commitment and determination to make sure young people get a better start in life. And we have seen as a county now, the bounce back has begun, very, very clearly. Every night of the week I'm seeing on social media or getting text messages about people who are meeting for the first time and saying 12 new cubs walked in tonight. I've just invested 6 new beavers. I've got 13 scouts who turned up. Groups that were very, very small are now very, very big. The demand for scouting has never been so great. And I'll just give you one figure that reflects that. Our county membership inquiry system, our want to join system, on average across West Lancashire, we get about 30 inquiries a month. In June, that was nearly 300 membership inquiries. In 1 month alone, for people wanting to join scouting. And of those young people inquiries, 36% of those inquiries had an adult saying, yes, I will volunteer. Not, I might volunteer. 36% saying, yes, I will volunteer to help Scout. A further 30% saying, I'm happy to have a conversation about it. And I think all of us know here, if someone says they're happy to have a conversation about volunteering, we'll get it over the line. So, just reflect on that for a minute. The demand for scouting is greater than I've ever seen it. You know, young people want to join us, and I think that is because parents and young people are recognising that sitting inside on your computer all the time is not a good way to grow up. And they see Scouts as having the solutions to today's challenges. Young people needing more green time and less screen time. It's good for people's mental health. We know that, there's lots of research that supports it. But what it does do, and what Scouting is brilliant at, is bringing people together from different backgrounds, different communities, different ages, and showing that we have more in common. And we needed that before the pandemic, and we definitely need it now. So as we look forward, we've got a lot to be excited about. Our biggest challenge in the next 12 months is how do we meet that demand? And how do we get people back to doing the things that we love, being outside, going camping, and taking part in all those activities. But the one thing that I think is really important for us in the next 12 months is that we remember Scouting is about people. It's a people game. It's about working together, supporting one another, and getting the best out of each other. And as we move forward, we need to take people with us. We need to ask people to help. We need to not be afraid to say, I'm struggling, I need some support. And we need to work together to make sure we realise the opportunities that we have now. Really excited about the strategic plan Shirley's going to pull together, because we have got so many opportunities on the horizon. And if we work together and we focus all our effort on that and getting young people doing great stuff and in Scouting and retaining and supporting our adult volunteers, nothing can stop us. So thank you for everything you've done through the most incredibly challenging year. It has been impressive to watch. And you should all be incredibly proud of what Shirley's done this year, and I'm really excited about the next year, so thank you very much.
Right,
Juggling some screens.
just changing screens, are you? Our president, Lindsay, unfortunately can't be with us, but he has recorded as a message, so I'm told. Here we go.
Let's just make sure I can share it for everyone at home.
I bet he's never been that still before for any length of time.
Never been that quiet.
Message to all those in the Scouting movement, whether you're a beaver, whether you're a cub, whether you're a scout, whether you're an explorer. This is about the AGM. We want an AGM to look back over another difficult year. It's been a real difficult time, but I know that Shirley's led by example. Examples that other wishes to achieve to. So you set the bar very high, others will follow. So I cannot thank all those involved, the trustees, the volunteers, the people who give their time. You make the difference. You make the difference for the young people of Shirley. You are building a strong future. And I've got to say, thank you for what you do. And let's all do the look for better times ahead. Thanks very much.
Keep that streaming. That actually concludes the AGM. Just something, a remark that Andy made, I reminded him that how long we've been together as a district, and he's mentioned his 3-year plan. That 3-year plan actually, if it is 3 years, coincides with what will be the 50th anniversary of Chorley District in 2024. So it's not that far away when we realise how long some of these things take to plan. So I want to put in your diaries. It's only 3 years. It's only another week. Anyway, can I say thank you very much to everybody for coming. Julia.
Yeah, is it okay
To
if I
Mike.
just say a few words?
Yeah. And Mike, who's the attendant, is actually, he says he's an ex-scout, but he's a scout from
I'll vote for that.
Scouting is for life.
Scouting for life. So he smarts now, so just
You'll have a necker by the time you leave.
on a warrant in the post. Right, thank you. Would you cheer?
Is it alright if I stand
No,
up?
of course it is.
I don't even put my face. I think I'll do that to a good twirl. It's not strictly come dancing, but it's as good as. It's been very inspiring, and it's so cheering to hear all the excellent work you've done in what has been one of the most formidable, difficult, and particularly depressing, sadly, for a lot of our families and community. And look what you've done. You've got your plans, you've got your future ahead of you. We've got Ellie leading the way with all the changes you want to make sure you're inclusive and diverse, and your community will just grow and grow and grow. And it's absolutely astounding that you've embraced new technology, just got on with it. You know, it's a steep learning curve for everybody, but it's kept your community together. And on behalf of the citizens of Chorley, I just want to say thank you to the older, and that's you know, with great respect, the older members of this Scout community. We would usually be making a fuss over the little ones and the growing ones, but you know, I must commend, you know, without you as role models, you know, we'd just be nowhere. And it's just excellent that you carry on, and it's Scouting is for life. You know, your roles might change, but those roles are significant and just as important as they were when you were starting out. Stick with it, and I look forward to the next few years. And I'll be cheeky enough to ask if I can come back and get hands-on. I quite like the active life. I've come past this site on my bicycle before, and I've never been in before. So at some stage I'd like to have a good look round and actually participate in some of the sort of more active things. I quite like kayaking. I quite like hiking. I'm quite good at putting a tent up. Whatever it is. I'd like to come back and get thoroughly involved. So I'm sticking with you. Like I say, Scouting's for life. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I think that's the very first time that we've ever had, in my memory, where somebody who's been representing the council, be it a deputy mayor, has actually given some closing remarks. That's really, really appreciated. Thank you.
All right, look, I'll just finally say, if Ellie's got the courage to do it, I'm only learning too. So, you know, just got to step up, and well done to you, Ellie, for speaking with us.
Right, thank you. And on that note, I will like to formally close the AGM, and thank you all for coming along. And again, when I put up next year's minutes, you'll be able to remember them all. So we usually leave the flags there at the end of the AGM. What we've done in previous years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks very much.
Time for your eats and your drinkies now.
The chef is just nipped back inside there. We're going to serve the burgers and hot dogs up down there. No, my pleasure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can talk about more. It's all right, clear. Come here.
Sorry, I'm the one taking some.
So it's just timed out right because the sun was just coming there. You got to stop that one.